Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the November 17th, 2021 virtual meeting of Chatham's Historic Business District Commission. My name is Daniel Silver. I am current chairman. Hopefully, with help from the staff and the members, this meeting will unfold as usual in that the first order of business will be as the reading of the governor's directive concerning these meetings. Sarah Clark, Central Permitting Coordinator, will be doing that. As soon as that is read, we'll do a roll call of the members who are present, and we'll be hearing the applications this afternoon. Sarah?
Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please notify the chairman. This meeting of the Historic Business District Commission is being conducted remotely in accordance with Section 20 of Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021 and shall afford adequate alternative means of public access via Microsoft Teams by calling the phone number 1-508-945-4410, conference ID 358-680-919, pound, or join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. Despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide for real-time access, and we will post a record of the meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. In accordance with town policy, the public can speak to any issue, hearing, or business item on the agenda during the meeting when recognized by the chair.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, now we'll do a roll call. As I said, my name is Daniel Silver. I am the chairman, and I am present, obviously. Then we have our vice chair, Darcy Sequin.
Darcy Sequin is here.
And our clerk, Sam Stribert.
Sam Stribert is here.
Okay, regular member, Bob Burns.
Bob Burns is here.
Okay, regular member, Doug Grattan.
Doug Grattan is here.
Our first alternate, Steve DeBoer.
Steve DeBoer is here.
Okay, and our second alternate, Janet Whittemore. Janet is probably showing up later. All right, we have enough members to continue with the meeting. The first order of business will be the minutes. As soon as those are approved, we'll move on to the application. And we ask that as soon as our clerk reads your application, that you let your presence be known, and then we'll see what the members have to say about it. All right, so let's see, the minutes to be reviewed this evening are those of November 3rd. So do we have anybody have any comments or revisions they'd like to make to the minutes? So please speak up.
I think there were other comments for the Chatham production regarding various aspects of the houses, but I realize that it's impossible to keep up with all the comments that were made. One item is a bit of a nit. Mr. Zebrat is not an architect. And so on page 4 out of 5, 4 or 5, underneath the bullet point that starts Victoria Clark, he's a residential designer.
Okay, President Mark Zebrat, architect, Victoria Clark, interior designer. All right. Very good, Sam. Thank you.
Well, other than
Anything
that,
else, Sam?
no, that'll be fine.
That's it?
That's fine.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Doug Grattan will make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
Darcy Sequin will second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded, and folks, we'll be skipping the second comment period. We'll just go right on to the voting unless someone has a comment to make. All right. No, we have Darcy.
Darcy Sequin votes in favor.
Okay, Sam Stribert.
Sam Stribert votes in favor.
Bob Burns.
Bob Burns votes in favor.
Doug Grattan.
Doug Grattan votes in favor.
Steve DeBoer.
Steve DeBoer is in favor.
All right, and Dan Silver is in favor. I don't think, as I say, Jeanette Whittemore is not with us yet this evening.
No, I'm here. I'm
Oh, are
here.
you there now?
I'm just
Oh, there you
late.
are.
Yeah.
Did you hear Sam's,
I didn't hear it, so I can't really weigh in on anything right here. I'll wait.
okay, very good, then we won't count you at the moment. Okay, very good, thank you. All right, Sam, our first application.
We have the first item to be considered is a continued sign application 21-088. Hanson Business Solutions, care of Barbara Hanson, application to install a wall sign on the structure located 210 Orleans Road, units A and B. The sign central permit coordinator, Sarah Clark, has written that the applicant is required to seek an appeals permit from the sign code appeals under the sign application. The applicant reduces the sign, the wall sign to which was approved under the appeals permit 14-25, 21 inches by 120 inches, 17 square feet, and no filing with the sign code appeal committee would be required. Basically, this is the opinion that I read last 2 weeks ago. It's just for the commission's information.
All right, I see Barbara is with us this afternoon. Hello,
Yes,
Barbara.
hello. Good afternoon.
So what did we come up with, Barbara?
So we came up with a revised design from Chatham Sign Shop, reducing it to the 12-foot allotted width, or to a much smaller version of what was there originally.
Okay, and where is this being located? Obviously, it's going to go in that long rectangular area where the sign was before, right?
Exactly.
What I'm
Just
asking-
just
I guess
centered.
what I'm asking is it going to be centered on that window?
Yes,
on the-
just as
yeah,
it
okay.
shows, it's centered in the white frame.
Okay, very good. All right, let's see what the members have to say about it. Darcy,
I think it looks beautiful. I think you did a really exceptional job there, and I think it looks great. Thank you.
Thank you, Darcy.
Sam,
The opinion, the statement by the central permitting coordinator lists a sign that is 21.5 by 120 inches. And this is 144. So you're okay going to the zoning board of appeals over this?
No, I don't want to do that. I want to have it be within the size it's supposed to be.
Well, I'm just looking at the numbers. I think it's a very appropriate sign. Unfortunately, you made it 2 feet longer than what was allowed.
Isn't it 120 inches?
144 is 12 feet. 120 is 10 feet.
All right. Oh, no, it's supposed to be the 10 feet is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be 10 feet, yeah.
Sarah, can you put that picture up again, please?
Yeah, there. It's supposed to be 10 feet. 120 inches.
Well, I think you might want to consider whether we could make our motion limited to 120 inches.
yes, we can condition approval upon making the sign 120 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Barbara, would that work for you?
Yeah, that would be fine. Yeah, I would like to, get this done, but definitely it's supposed to be 120 inches. So,
All right, we'll see how Doug does with this then. Let's find out what the other members think first. All right, Bob Burns,
I think that the sign looks great, and just bring it down to the 120, and I'm fine with it. Thank you.
okay, thank you.
okay, Doug Grattan,
I think it's a great looking sign, and I'm certainly in support of it, so.
all right, Steve,
I think it's fine. I think it's much better than the other version that we saw. So thank you for working with us. That's fine. Very
Okay.
nice.
Thank you.
Janet Whittemore,
I think it's a very handsome sign, and I wish you the best of luck with your new business. Anyway, and I think I'm with the other members as long as you comply to the 120 inches, I believe. Anyway, I think you're good with that. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
and this is Dan Silver. I think you got a wonderful sign there. And yes, I think you should bring it down to 10 feet and save yourself a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. We're going to keep it simple.
Alrighty, Doug, can you handle this? Oh, I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Sam.
So Doug Grant will make a motion under continued sign, application
Hold on,
21
Doug. Hold on. Sam's got his hand up.
Hold on.
Yep.
I just want to ask Sarah whether there's nothing we would have missed here that would allow them to have the little bit longer sign with the zoning.
Well, she would have to apply, Sam,
Yeah.
she would have to apply to the zoning board to get the larger size. That's what was approved in 2014 for a previous business that was there.
Oh, I see.
So we approved the
well-
size, not necessarily the business. So as long as she kept it at the approved size, she could do it by right.
Thank you. So that answers my question, and we should proceed.
All right. Doug, I'm sorry for the interruption.
No worries. So Doug Grant will make a motion under continued sign, application 21-088, Hanson Business Solutions, care of Barbara Hanson, application to install a wall sign on the structure located at 210 Orleans Road, Unit A and B, in sign length not to exceed 120 inches.
Darcy Seacon will second the motion.
Very good. Thank you, Doug. That was well done. Thank you, Darcy. All right. Is there anybody at all that has a last comment or question? No? All right, then we'll move on to the voting. Janet,
I'm very much in favor of the sign as you've agreed to do at 120 feet. It's very handsome. Thank you.
thank you, Janet. Steve DuBois,
I would vote to approve.
Doug Grattan,
Doug Grant votes to approve.
Bob Burns,
Bob Burns votes to approve.
Sam Shriver,
Sam Stryver votes to approve.
Darcy Sequin,
Darcy Seacon votes to approve.
and Dan Silver votes to approve. That sign is well done, Barbara. That was very nice work.
Well, thank you.
All right, congratulations, by the way.
Well, thank you. Well, I appreciate all your help and support. Thank you very much for this.
Thanks,
Thank
Barbara.
Thank you. All right, Sam, where does that leave us?
Administrative approval / exemption. 21-91 Sears Park Condo Association, care of Corey Metters. Ratification of certificate of exemption to sand and repaint the trim siding on the structure located at 4-8 Seaview Street.
Very good. All righty. Who went down there, Sarah?
So this one was Bob and Darcy. They repainted it with the exact color that they had previously, which I believe was Gray Embers was the name of the color.
Okay, very good. All right. All right. Let's see. Anybody have any comments about this? No? Anybody on the commission?
Pretty
Alrighty,
straightforward.
Doug,
So Doug Grant will make a motion under administration approval / exemption 21-091 Sears Park Condo Association, care of Corey Metters, ratification of a certificate of exemption to sand and repaint the trim siding on the structure located at 4-8 Seaview Street as presented.
thank you, Doug.
Darcy Sequin will second the motion.
Very good, Darcy, thank you. All right then, Janet, we'll start with you again.
Yeah,
Unless anybody has a comment, anybody have a comment? No? All right. Janet?
What color was, what color is it?
Gray Ember.
Gray amber. Okay.
yeah, have no problem with this. It's fine with me.
Steve DeVoy,
Steve DeBoer votes to approve.
Doug Grattan,
Doug Grant votes to approve.
Bob Burns,
Burns votes to approve.
Sam Stryver,
Sam Stryver, approved.
was that Sam? All right,
Sam Stryver votes to approve.
very good. Darcy Sequin,
Darcy Sequin votes to approve.
Dan Silver votes to approve. Bob and Darcy, thanks for going down, taking your time. All right. Sam, where does that leave us now?
So we have a second application conference. Chatham Productions LLC, care of Victoria Clark. Pre-application conference to discuss proposed dwellings located on Annabelle Lane, AKA 776 Main Street and Depot Road.
Sam, prior to that, we have the town doing a pre-application conference for the Eldridge garage property.
Oh, I'm
All right.
sorry. I wrote this thing. You're right. Pre-application conference, Town of Chatham, pre-application conference to discuss the redevelopment of the property located at 365 Main Street. So,
Yes, and I know we had a representative here.
Yes. So Dan, I'll, if that's okay, this is Katie Donovan, Director of Community
Sure.
Development. I'll start off the presentation.
All right, thank you.
So as you all are likely aware, the town purchased the property at 365 Main Street, the former Eldridge garage site at, again, at 365 Main in 2017. Once the purchase was complete, the Board of Selectmen at the time appointed a planning committee, the Eldridge Garage Property Planning Committee, to make recommendations on the use of the site. And that committee held 17 meetings over the course of a year, seeking input from abutters and others in the town on what the recommendation should be for that property moving forward. And ultimately, they came up with a recommendation that they made to the select board back in 2018. Based on that recommendation, the select board advised staff, we had an annual town meeting article we sought funding for design. And then again, subsequently, through an RFP process, the town has worked or contracted with Catalyst Design, which is formerly BLFR, for design services. So Catalyst is the the lead on the design team, and they are joined also with Jay Olmsted from Olmsted Design and Coastal Engineering. So we've had some preliminary discussions with the select board at this point in time, and we have some preliminary plans. We presented those to the select board back on October 5th. And again, these are based on the recommendations of the Eldridge Garage Property Planning Committee. The select board on October 5th, before deciding to move any further, wanted to seek the input of the HBDC. And so that's what brings us here tonight. I do know that we also forwarded a letter to you from Mr. Dan Desmond on behalf of a group of neighbors, abutting neighbors in that area. And so I believe Dan and maybe one or two other neighbors are with us tonight, and they may also wish to make some comments. But at this point in time, I'd like to turn it over to Kurt Raber, who is the architect from Catalyst Design, and he would share his screen and kind of walk you through where we are at this point in time.
Thank you, Katie.
Hello, everyone. Can you see me?
Yes.
Very good. All right. So not for long. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, which I'm going to bring up a series of drawings. I'll try to go through those quickly, and then we can get into some questions and answers, and then I can move back and forth between the drawings as needed. So what I'm going to do is show you kind of the older drawings from about 2 years ago, and then what we've developed in the recent past. And these are the same drawings we showed to the selectmen, as Katie mentioned, not too long ago. All right, so hopefully now you don't have to see me. You can see a photo of the old Eldridge garage property.
Yep.
Great. Town was able to find some old photos and share those with us, which are, really nostalgic and great. In fact, there's 3. So this is obviously shingles, the old building, the old gas pumps are outside, some nice vintage signage. This photo is a little bit later, and everything's been painted white with a little dark trim. And I think the gas pumps the image is fuzzy, but the gas pumps have been modernized there. Not exactly sure the date on this photo. And the last one is another photo of some Eldridges getting ready to pump some gas. Display of oil cans, etc. So great old photos that kind of take you back in time. You can see a nice dark sash window in a white trim. You can see the building has its original rafter tails and some of the other simple elements to the simple building. All right, so this may look familiar to some of you. This is a site plan that the working group for the Eldridge garage property put together about 2 years ago, maybe a little further back. And I'm going to zoom in. And as you know, the property is sort of a pork chop shaped. It's got a kind of handle that extends to over behind the parking lot, back behind where the old stable building was. And that'll remain wooded in a wildflower meadow and a small patch of grass here. And the rest of the lot was envisioned to be improved with, paved parking for visitors to the town. The building is shown here in its existing configuration and existing location. And the site plan that the group settled on then was kind of a one driveway in, one driveway out. But the path around the existing building is quite tight and a little bit hard to negotiate. After thinking about this a little bit, we've proposed a slightly different site plan. And again, I'll zoom in a little bit. And what we'd like to, town to consider is a simple in-out driveway at this location, the lower end of the lot. And really just to kind of put the in and the out in one place, one curb cut instead of 2. But what that does is allows the sort of this green space out in front of the parking lot to be elongated. This area we see with some new trees. And then we're showing the building being picked up and set down on a new foundation closer to the street. There's a couple of reasons for that. And the first is that the building is set down into grade now. And when we were inside the building, it's quite evident that there's a lot of rot and deterioration where the wood frame is set down into the grade. And it's pretty badly deteriorated. So we'd like to elevate the building, get it up into a lawn area on a new foundation. We'd also like to sort of improve the flow around this parking lot. And we're also showing sort of the building in its old previous location. So you can see this red broken line is the existing location. So we're talking about sliding it forward about 20 feet and up the page about 15 feet. And what that does is it improves the flow around the parking lot. We have 67 spaces here, and that's sort of in a self-service layout. If the town were to continue the valet service system at this lot, then the vendor there could provide even denser parking on high peak days of holidays, holiday weekends in particular. So this is the notion of kind of park along the street, new sidewalk to continue, and the town's already developed some standards for sidewalks, and that same system would be carried right along the front edge of the property. The town's also moving forward with drainage in this area, which has been a problem. So the town's already, I believe, funded and approved to the construction of drainage structures underneath this parking area here where I'm encircling. And that work will be done in the near term. And of course, that's been coordinated so that it would be worked around this potential location. Let me take you back to the existing building. We did go out, and my associates in my office and myself visited the building. We measured it completely and thoroughly and drew it up at scale. And we also drew up the existing floor plan. Purple area is just sort of the internal sort of old retail area of the gas station. This beige area was an office. There was one restroom and then a storage room in the rear. And you can see that this appendage here on the left side was that office that's shown here on the left elevation. And then in the rear side of the building, which is this upper right-hand corner, is the sort of one little hip addition to the building at one time. So that kind of gives you a flavor for what the building is. And again, this building is, it's a little fuzzy. I can't read the dimensions. I'll go back to another sheet where I can read the dimensions later. This is the plan that we actually showed two plans to the select board earlier in the year, and they much preferred a sort of a modest reuse of this building versus a scheme that we looked at to actually increase the number of restrooms. And the select board said, no, let's stay with the small building, the existing building. That's important to the town. It's important to the working group that worked on the project a couple of years ago. So what we said, well, what can we fit into this building? And again, it's only 16 feet wide. It's only 34 feet long. And what we did here was kind of create a public lobby, and then that services, entrance into the men's room and the women's room. And then this scheme, we're showing a third bathroom, and this we called a family toilet room, which would have the diaper changing station. But if somebody was assisting somebody in a wheelchair, two people could go in this room, plenty of room to turn around, and then that wouldn't, and it would also alleviate any kind of lines or queues at the other restrooms. Support space in the beige. And then at the rear side, we talked about sort of adding a column and a covered porch in the back with this little storage room for the parking vendor, so that this facilitated that increased parking in the summer with a parking agent running a valet service there. We also showed a little covered porch to the right side to balance the appendage that was on the left side. So here's some 2D elevations at the bottom of the page and some 3D views of the building. Again, this upper left corner, the front side of the building would be the existing door, the existing picture window remain. And then that's that new porch cover as a second means of entering into the restroom and public information area inside the building. And then that exits out into that park area. This is a view from the left rear corner, looking back at that added porch, which would be a bit of shelter for the valet service attendants. So with that, I think I'll kind of go back to the proposed site plan and turn it back to the board and say, this is what we're thinking. We'd be interested to hear your kind of comments, your ideas, your thoughts. And I guess I'd leave you with one final thought that, given our experience in putting together historic buildings and putting them back together, we really feel strongly that this is a rehabilitation of this building rather than a restoration. And what does that mean? It means a lot of the building has to be sort of rebuilt or sistered with new framing. The plates that set down into grade that are rotten will need to be elevated. So we think that we'll be adding a lot of new structure to this building to improve it. And of course, when we do that level of work to make it compliant with current code, we'll be adding a thickness to the roof for inside the shell for the full depth rafters. Currently, there's 2 by 4 rafters at about 30 inches on center. So it stays together, but it's certainly not code compliant. And we want to make this building look exactly like it does now, with the same sort of architectural elements and feel and scale and proportion. But we will be sort of rebuilding the guts of this building. So with that, I turn it back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Kurt. We also have some neighbors with us. Yes.
Yes.
I'm going to stop the share. Excuse me. I'm going to stop the share so that everybody can see one another.
There you go. All righty. Dan, did you have a comment?
Yeah. First of all, I'm speaking for about 5 families on the street here, most of which are not here full time. I know that Warren did text me, and he's on there without video, and so or audio. I don't know. So he is present in that manner. So I'm the fellow that put together that quick little letter asking for basically to give a more historical, definitive view by adding some gas station components. If you look at the architect's final rendition, it's very nice, but it basically looks like a restroom, and it doesn't indicate that it is or was a filling station, in its current state. So we were thinking of duplicating an old gas station from somewhere around Chatham, where there was a 13 at one time back in the 60s, or adding some components to the Eldridge station to show it for what it is. Maybe a couple of pumps, replicated pumps, signs, just really to say, okay, this is an old gas station, representative of an old gas station, as opposed to just a restaurant.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much for your comments.
Mr. Chairman, I have some comments, if I may.
I'm sorry, who's that?
Frank Messina, Chatham Historical Commission.
Yes, Frank, we'll hear from you, and then David Oppenheim after that. I assume David has something to say. Go ahead, Frank.
Thank you very much. It was interesting listening to Katie talk about the Eldridge Garage Parking Planning Committee. And it was 17-minute meetings that we had. I served on the committee. I thought it was more like 50 meetings, but it was a lot of fun being part of that committee, and a lot was exchanged. It was a very diverse committee that the selectmen put together, as far as I'm concerned. People, merchants, and people of various interest in the community, and of course myself from the historical commission point of view. I think what's being proposed here, the design that Jay Olmsted put together and what the current architect and his firm has done, is pretty good in terms of the parking lot from my perspectives, just personally speaking. I do have some comments on the design, and just quickly, if I could, for your consideration. First of all, the architect did mention paved, and I think the the committee very strongly felt that we should try some kind of impervious surface, rather than a full paved parking lot. I'm not saying gravel, but there are other things we could do to have a solid base for handicap, et cetera, but still maintain a little bit of the sense, the historic sense, in the sense it was unpaved, a lot of it, and try not to detract too much from the rear section of the property, which is the meadow. Make it more interesting and inviting to people who could come and use that, even though it is, not a park, but someplace to stroll. So just a comment as far as that's concerned. The Historical Commission also reviewed the plans and reviewed the proposal by Mr. Demas, and I think the commission was pretty much unanimous that we did not want to see a replica of any garage anywhere in the town of Chatham. That the Historical Commission, and our advice to you when we first got into this whole thing, Dan, we felt very strongly we should try to preserve the building. I think there was a lot of sentiment to tear the damn thing down, and we fought that, and I'm glad that the town and yourselves and the HBDC agreed that we would save the building. I think the architect has done a pretty good job in terms of attempting to keep the architectural elements in the scale of the original building. And I think, we're fine with that. I think the committee wasn't looking at 3 restrooms. We felt if we could do 1 or 2, this is not a major restroom facility. It's a gas station, which would allow the parking attendant and/or the current way the town is doing it. And by the way, I think as a taxpayer, I think the way the town is doing that paid parking is very efficient, rather than the town of Chatham starting a parking commission. In other words, and the town receives revenue from that parking contract. So I think that's worked out quite well. The one other comment, Kurt, the architect, is that we envisioned it's a gas station. And you don't find too many gas stations on in a grassy lawn area. And I think if you and Jay can think about that, what the Mr. Dan Demas had indicated, we want to evoke the idea that this was a gas station, and this was a transportation center for the town of Chatham. I mean, going back to the turn of the century, horse and carriage, and it's just a lot of history. And although we couldn't save the barn, at least we could save the gas station, so we could try to make it look like a gas station. I don't agree that we should put fake pumps in the front of it, but still. And if I believe one of the things that we were attempting to do and duplicate, at least from the Historical Commission point of view, is the old Eldridge garage, sign, on this building. So people knew what this was, in an homage to the Eldridges and what happened here in town. One quick thing, the interior of the building, where you show a common area, I think the committee, and I think Katie would agree, we envisioned that not necessarily as a kiosk for people to pick up information about the town. The town already has a kiosk or a booth downtown. We envisioned it as a small historical setting where there would be pictures and drawings, and I think you showed some beautiful ones of what was going on here. And we also have pictures in the archives at the Historical Society of the horse and carriages that were there and at that site. So there's a lot of history on the building, and we were trying to pick that up. I think I've hit everything. Again, thank you very much, and good luck. And I appreciate your considering our comments. And we will formalize it, the commission, if you would like, at some future time, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. David?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Are you able to?
Certainly.
Good. Okay. Well, as all of you know, I worked with the Eldridges. It was a pleasure working with them actually for a year and a half while they got the environmental issues resolved. I should also let you know that I own the property to the west, the 2 homes, the 391 and 393 Main Street. Having worked through all the different boards for the year and a half when we're doing the environmental, talking about tearing down the rear buildings and all the different ideas that came out, and trying to save lumber, et cetera, and meet all the requirements. I think the town, everybody did a really good job. And again, I can't compliment the Eldridge family enough for selling the town at a fair price and everything else. I think the designs that are done are well done. I think probably it's better having a single entrance and exit and moving the building, if that makes it better, and having one road cut. It probably is less of an issue and more control, especially if the valet service is controlling the place. It gives them much more control, so I'd agree with that. I think it should be kept modest. I don't think there was, I think there was one draft I saw of a larger building, which it seems to have gone away, which I'm glad it did, because I think it should be a modest building. The signage, I think anything that we can do to give a sense of it being the Eldridge garage, more so, whether it's signage. I actually thought kind of the idea that Dan Desmond had of maybe some mock-up old pumps has some merit. I just don't know if there'll be just something that will attract damage and graffiti and things. I just don't know enough about that. As far as the amount of bathrooms, if in that, I thought the reuse of the building was very well done. You're taking a storage area and turning that into the valet, so they have a little place to work from. You've got 3 bathrooms, which I think this town is always short of bathrooms. This is a long walk from the center of town. The only public bathrooms are either at the town hall or at Cape Gould Park, and then all the way down to, and then you go to the lighthouse. So I think the idea of having a men's room, a ladies' room, and a family bathroom, which is more common these days, shall we say, is fine. It's essentially 3 stalls. I don't think that's overburdening it. Having an area around it, as shown, where people can stop and rest going back and forth, I think is an excellent idea. I thought the landscaping was very consistent. As I think the working group know, when we were done, when the town bought it, the Eldridge family and ourselves, we recommended that sort of similar to what's come out, not dealing so much with the building, that there's this, the streetscape is taken care of with shade trees, and it softens the entire image from Main Street. The drainage is underground, so it's of no cause and effect, and will solve the problem, and I believe they're doing that this fall, supposedly. The conservation land remains conservation land. It may be walking paths and things like that, as appropriate. As far as the building itself, I really, I sort of like on one hand, I like I guess it's on the west side, the matching of the bump out that's on the east side. I'm not sure it's really necessary. I think it's just adding something that makes it look less like a gas station than maybe it did. But again, that's, I don't think you need legally 2 means of egress. But if you do, then that might be a good solution. I think the plan's well thought out. The one thing I get into this, as you know, I've been involved with restoring some buildings in town over the years. The building's in horrible condition. I mean, I think the architect is being pleasant when he talks about the 2x4 rafters and the condition of the sills. I'm sure, I can't imagine it's not all lead paint, although I haven't done an analysis of it. I think it would be less expensive, and you wouldn't know the difference if you just replicated the building as opposed to picking this up and trying to restore old sills and make an old building work today. It would, and the reason I say that is when we did the Mayflower complex, the Greek revival that we slid down, which is now Gustari Olive Oil, that building had been torn apart 3 different times before we got there. We built a rail system to slide it down. It cost us over $40,000 to slide the building down. And none of what we preserved, which is a few large boards on the side of the thing, can anybody see. They're all covered by shingles. So nothing else in the building was what it was. And I think that it's the historic image as opposed to having a couple of boards in the back that you've tried to preserve. And I think that's a waste of money, quite frankly, in my opinion. I think when I looked at some of the estimates, I believe the architects, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's actually less expensive to build a new building and replicate it. So if you're going to pick it up and if you're going to move it, my suggestion is that we concentrate on maintaining historic aspects by signage, by what you put in the lobby, with maybe putting some of those bronze plaques that you see periodically in different places that really talk about what that property was used for, which was as a transportation center, as the previous speaker said. I really hate to see us spend a lot of money preserving things that we won't see. We'll just sort of, and anybody going in there won't even know what we're talking about because it's all going to be covered over, because it does have to be brought up to code. So again, I think, I know with that Greek revival we did at the Mayflower complex, you wouldn't have known the difference. And nobody, it looks like the historic's a complete, you know, it would have been just, we would have saved tens of thousands of dollars replicating it. Nobody would have known the difference because you don't know where the historic boards are. This is not a building that's been preserved, and it's not, we're not going to be, you just can't build it the way it is. It's got to meet code. Bathrooms have to meet code. And I think my only suggestion would be whatever your final little design is, that we just accept the fact that the building has lived its life, and we're going to give it the best image possible by replicating it and giving it as many historic things that we can do, to, whether it's the signage like the old Eldridge garage sign. I think that's a great idea. I think that was preserved, if I remember correctly. I'm not positive of that. These are the types of things that'll make people be curious, and then the photos and the images that you put inside are really going to be what establishes the history of this site. But overall, my compliments to the architect. The site plan looks terrific. And as far as I agree with the previous speaker, I don't think it is necessary to pave the whole parking lot. There's lots of different, you may have to for some of the handicapped accessible things, but there's lots of different alternatives to do that in an aesthetically pleasing way. And don't forget, it's really used, you know, it won't be used in the main plowing season very much from January through March. So I don't think it's necessary to pave the whole parking lot. And that's my comment.
Thank you, David. I'm going to give Dan an opportunity to rebut any comments that might have been made, and then we'll go up back to Katie. Dan, would you like to address any comments that were made?
Yeah, no, I agree with most things except the, you know, that we denied the replication. The site plan, we all of us over here in the neighborhood think it's wonderful. We just, as being abutters and the populace is taxpayers, and in this case, one of us being a donor that's going to pretty much pay for the entire project, I just thought we'd get a little consideration on making it look like a gas station. That's about all I have to say.
Thank you, Dan. Katie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as you're giving your comments, I think one of the things that we are, specifically looking for to be able to give the architect some further direction is whether or not the commission would be opposed to, again, a raising and a rebuild replication of the structure, or again, as Mr. Oppenheim had mentioned, the costliness of doing a, I believe what Kurt said was not necessarily a restoration, but more of a rebuild. We're just looking to get the input from the Historic Business District Commission so that we can move forward with further design, at which point in time we would certainly come back to you before any final design is brought back to the select board. So again, we're looking for your input tonight, and any information you can provide to us will be beneficial for us moving forward.
Thank you, Katie. Okay. Before I move on to the commission members, I think commission members, I ask that you keep your this discussion part of the discussion to what Katie just said, whether you would approve of the refurbishing of this building or a replication of it. And then I'll come back to you for overall comments on the overall project. So Darcy, start with you.
Okay, you just want to talk about either the rebuild or the restoration?
Right,
That's it?
yeah.
Okay. In terms of money, I think probably a rebuild would be in order, only because once you start restoring things, you don't know what you're going to get into, how much it's going to cost. I would be in favor of rebuild, as long as it, is replicated.
Bob, Ernst?
Thank you. I'd be in favor of the replication instead of the rebuild on the current site.
All righty. Doug?
I think I'm getting a little confused on the terminology. Guys, Darcy, did you want a brand new structure there, or you were in favor of rebuilding? And
No, I'm thinking of a new structure. I think it
That's
makes monetarily sense.
And that's what my feelings are too, Dan. I think that a brand new structure designed to replicate an older building in that site would be the best avenue to go down at this point.
Thank you, Doug. Sam, I'm sorry I skipped over you, but you got comments about that?
I'll try to make this quick. I really like the idea of the wildflower meadow. And I think that lawn area will be a real asset for the town that people may want to visit all by itself, because I know there's some good views from there. I've done some projects in that area and I know it pretty well. I'm also for the the way the parking layout has been improved with the single.
Okay, Sam, sorry, I'm going to interrupt. Right now, we're just talking about whether you would prefer to refurbish the existing small section that's there, or rebuild it or replicate it.
I didn't know you were polling the group on that issue.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yes, I'm for rebuilding rebuilding it. I think moving it would be a sheer folly in its deteriorated state. One thing that could be done and looked into, the architect would be advised, is the use of spray foam, high density spray foam. In that way, he could use 2x4 construction. I think the use of 2x6 and heavy framing just to support low density and insulation would be a mistake. This way, I think it would preserve the building even better. So that's me on that.
Thank you, Sam. Steve?
Well, as much as I'd like to try to preserve the old building, I don't think it really makes any sense. And I think rebuilding it, by today's standards and with today's materials is probably a much better idea. Probably end up with a lot better product at the end. So I don't have a problem as long as it can be replicated, as closely to what is there now. I'm all for just rebuilding a new building.
Thank you, Steve. Janet, are you still with us? I don't see you on the screen.
Yes, I'm still.
Oh, there you are. Okay, gotcha.
Yes,
Yep.
I'd love to weigh in on this. Of course, I'm very much concerned about preserving our past. In terms, it does seem reasonable that that with the expense and everything, that it would be perhaps wiser to rebuild. But in giving that, I think that we shouldn't alter. We should do a preservation of the existing building, and so that it's similar to what it looks like. And the only other thing I wanted to suggest was, I noticed that I don't have any problem with moving the site plan or whatever, but just so that the building would be sited so that the current front would show to the street just as it does now. So I guess that's all we're talking about now, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so I would vote for preservation of this building if it has to be redone. I'm not in favor of changing changing too much the original structure. We've lost so much of our streetscape, and this, however small it is, I think that the town has to weigh in on the fact that we've allowed so much of our properties to be changed, and sometimes, personally, I don't think for the better. Anyway, so that's my opinion. Thank you.
Bob, did you have additional comments? I thought I saw your hand up.
No, I'm in favor of replicating. So just, starting from scratch, moving it is the way that I would vote to go.
Okay. This is Dan Silva. I think I have to agree with Janet and Dave that I think it should just be rebuilt exactly the way it is. I agree with David in the fact that I don't think anything should be added to it. I think the whole point from the beginning was to save the building, and then when you save it and start modifying it, you're losing the whole purpose of why you saved it in the first place. I also would like to make a comment that I was very disappointed in the photographs that I saw. And the only reason is because I went down there all my life. I'm now 74. And I didn't see a photograph with any of all the candy bars that were in that window. There were hundreds of candy bars in that window. And one of the things that was so nice about that piece of property when I was growing up, that it was a drive-in. You drove in behind the pumps and you got out of the door immediately and went right into the building. And also, the Eldridge Garage wasn't just that building. It was 3 buildings altogether. It was that building where they sat in a sofa and waited for a phone call from someone who needed a ride and just talked about the day and the weather and everything else that was going on in Chatham. The other is that it had that fairly large shed out back, and then behind the shed was a large barn. I think it's very disappointing that we're trying to save a piece of property and represent it as Eldridge Garage with 2/3 of the buildings missing. I'm not saying that the town should spend more money and put up a second building, but if the first small building is too small to accommodate its new intended purposes, then I would suggest that you put another small building further back, so there'd be at least 3 buildings there. But overall, I don't mind the site plan, but the beauty of the Eldridge Garage, as I say, was it was right out on the street and you drove through, and that's going to be, you're going to lose the character with a sidewalk down in front of it and no access to the front door. And I don't understand the Historic Commission not wanting a garage anywhere in Chatham. We had that garage. We had the Getty Garage further up by the Red Nun. There was a garage where Dunkin' Donuts is, and we currently have Cumberland Farms, which is a huge garage gas station. So I don't understand their reluctance to have something that would be a faux gas station in town. But anyways, I suppose they wouldn't want a horse stall either. In other words, to be honest with you, at one time I have a map. There were more stables in the town of Chatham than there were houses. So,
Wow.
Anyways, all right. So is that what you're needing to hear, Kathleen?
Yes, that I think gives us some direction. Kurt, are you comfortable with the information that we've received?
Yeah, I see that there's, kind of a clear preference to our acceptance of rebuilding a new structure that's very close in size, shape, proportion, etc. Same architectural elements, but that would be acceptable. So I think that is good news. I think that does make the project easier, a little less expensive, and we appreciate that. I also did hear some comments from the abutters and the committee. I talked a little bit about the site plan and the elements and the setting, and I think we still need to have a lot of work there to do. In particular, I like the idea of some more hardscape and out in front of the building. I doodled a couple of ideas, but we'll put those on paper and bring those back to you another day.
Very good. Thank you, Kurt. I was just going to say I'm going to go back to the commission members so they can make comments about the overall project. Bob, seeing you raised your hand, go ahead.
The question is, your point was to refurbish it on the current platform. Is that correct? Just and use that structure. So put the structure where it is now. Rebuild that structure where it is. Don't add any square footage.
That's,
Can we put
I
the
heard several people say that they'd like to, wouldn't mind a new structure being built in the same shape, size. I did not hear a strong preference on location. I think a couple people did say that they liked the site plan and liked the fact that the building had moved and that the parking lot flow was a little bit better. So I think if the location is flexible, we should clarify that, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. We should clarify because I think I'm a little confused on some things.
All right, well, let's start off with that then. Darcy?
I don't know, this is difficult because you want to preserve what's there. If you do a rebuild and move it, then it's not the Eldridge garage anymore. So I'm not sure about moving it. I think I'd probably prefer to have it where it is and do the rebuild.
Very good, Darcy. All right, Bob, Byrne?
So if you keep it on the current site and rebuild, can you have 3 bathrooms?
Yes.
You can.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So you don't have to add any square footage.
Yeah, the 3 bathrooms are currently under the roof.
Okay. And then the back area for the valet parking and the vestibule for waiting area can all fit under that roof.
Right. The only appendages, if you will, are new areas where the covered porches, one to the right side and one at the rear.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
Okay, Sam?
Yeah, I'm for moving it. I would like to hear why the family bath is an improvement or a necessary part of the program. I think if we're weighing all these other issues, I just as well not have the family bath. I think the men's room should have a sink, however, which the drawings don't show.
Oops, that must have evaporated. Sorry about that.
It happens to me. So anyway, I think in the front, maybe there's some way to get a kind of a paved lay-by that would and a sign on it and candy in the window, whatever things we need to dress it up, because I think as a historical information center, I think that has some real uses and we don't have anything like that in the town, except for maybe the library or some other times.
Yeah, I think sorry to interrupt, but I think a hardscape out in front of the building that has some of those nostalgic elements, and they might be bollards to keep actual cars from leaving the roadway and coming up there, but those could be, integrated with a bike rack or some benches. And then I'm thinking of a pedestal sign that has something evocative of the old gas station signs that basically calls out, the Eldridge station or, so I think there's a lot of kind of nice elements. Then that could be a gathering spot for people.
So that's those are my feelings about the building. So everything else I think is in just the way it should be.
Thank you, Sam. Doug?
Well, again, I think replicating what is there would be a better route to go. And I understand nostalgia, but I think, like Sam mentioned, there are things you could put there that would, remind people of the history and replicate it on a new structure. I'm in favor of the 3 bathrooms, and I agree it should look, historical, but not actually be the structure that was there. And when the time comes, I have some comments too down the road on the site and other things as well. But I think, you know, replicating what was there would be the best route to go.
Thank you, Doug. Janet?
Again, I'm for the preservation of the character of this building. I like the idea the architect has come up with the areas that he wants to introduce, and having a common area where there could be a lot of photographs. You know, it'd be a great place to show off the old photographs in this foyer of the place. And again, I feel that it needs to be preserved, but not, but it probably needs to not be rehabilitated, if that's clear. But I don't have any problems with the building, the situation that you've come up with the plan of moving it closer to the street. I love the idea of possible old-fashioned gas pumps that may be able to be used for the electric cars. You know, you could have or so you think that's crazy? I don't know. It's just an idea that I was thinking. Anyway, is what I said clear to you? Do I need to clarify anything about?
No, I think, Janet, I think you were wonderful. That was great.
Okay, thank you.
All right, this is Dan Silver again. I have to agree with Janet once more. I love what the architect said about doing a turnout there. I think it would be best to make sure that doesn't end up looking like a little building orphaned by itself sitting in the middle of a parking lot, you know, because it was part of a complex. So I think we really have to try our best to make it look like a garage other than just having something inside the building. But I agree with everybody else that it should be rebuilt. And like I said, again, a garage does have a turnout in front of it. And, you know, if they could do that, that would be wonderful. So anyways, all righty, Katie, that was the last one.
Mr. Chairman, I do see that Mr. Oppenheim has his hand up. I'm not sure if you'd.
Oh, again,
allow
Dave,
him
all
to
right.
speak
I'm sorry
again.
you do. Yep. I should
Hi,
start
I just,
my screen more.
Dan, just one comment. There was about moving. The one reason that I think it makes sense to move the building, one, it'll make the building actually a little more prominent, going to your thing about it, not just getting lost on the property. It's better traffic flow, and there's never been another cut up on the west end of the property, so that would introduce traffic where there never was. It was always a single entrance, albeit much wider and much more open, but the west end of the west end of the property has never had another cut, and I don't think that would be appropriate. So I think moving it, number one, makes the building more prominent. It's a little closer to the road, and with the other suggestions about a turnout at the front, we'll add to it. And obviously, we're talking about much more detail, making it look like a gas station. And I do think from a traffic standpoint, it makes the whole parking lot work better to have a single entrance and exit. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Kathleen, once again.
So no, thank you. I mean, unless there's any further comments, I think we have some good information to move forward. I think we'd like to come back for another pre-application conference once we have some additional
Okay, Janet,
changes
I see
before we move forward to final design.
All right, excuse me, Kathleen. Janet has one last comment.
Yeah, I just wanted to weigh in on whether it's paved or not. And I do feel that we all need to be environmentally concerned. And obviously, dark pavement is not a first, should not, I think, be the first choice. I'm in for something, you know, even shell. I mean, shell driveways used to be a sign of opulence down here. It's changed. It's changed a bit, but I did want to weigh in on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. This is Dan Silver. I do have one last comment too. I agree with David Oppenheim in that I don't think that lot is going to be used very often, or certainly not like it would in the summertime, in the wintertime. So I don't think it's really necessary to have that harder surface out there. Anything else would be, anything else would be better. So, all right, I'm done. Kathleen?
No, again, thank you very much for your time tonight. I think we've got some good information, and we'll be back before you with another design, and we'll move forward from there. Unless, Kurt, do you have any further questions?
No, just thank you for your input and your time tonight.
Thank you, Kurt. Very nice presentation.
Great, thank
Alrighty.
you.
You bet. Sam, where are we? Lost?
No, we're clearly, it's coming to the end here with the second pre-application conference, Chatham Productions LLC, care of Victoria Clark, pre-application conference to discuss proposed dwellings located on Annabelle Lane, AKA 776 Main Street and 70 Depot Road.
All right, Victoria, thank you for hanging in there. If you're there, there you are.
Hi, how are you?
I am well, thank you.
I think it would probably be easy to do it the way we did last time. We now have front, rear, and side elevations, as well as a site sketch about where it's estimated each individual houses will be, as well as floor plans. I know, which is a lot to take in at the moment, but it does kind of help with the visualization of each lot, because I know last time we spoke about it, not having the side views really does affect
Victoria,
the whole...
excuse me for interrupting, Victoria. Do you have a
Oh,
video?
yes.
Do you have video?
No, we do not.
Oh,
But
okay,
Sarah has the document. Sorry about that.
Okay. All righty. Continue.
So this is the overall site sketch to show the general layouts of where each house will be on the off of the subdivision, off of the cul-de-sac. So I don't know if it would probably be easiest again to just go lot by lot. I don't know if anyone got the chance to look at the documents beforehand, or if we can just do if we want to do it similar. We did take into account most of the changes and suggestions that the board recommended last time when we were talking about the front and rear elevations. So I guess it just depends on how the board wants to proceed with looking at each lot.
Okay, we'll take them one at a time, and I understand there were changes made, right?
Yes, as well as additional drawings to show the side elevations,
Yeah,
as well as floor plan.
A little more detail too. Very good. All right.
Mr. Chairman, are we going to make some comments about the site plan?
If you'd like to, Sam, sure. I don't know what we can do about it, but certainly.
Well, I mean, it's the first time we've really seen just how these properties align, and they pretty well fill the allowable setback areas minus the setbacks for each lot. And I hope the next time we have a review like this, that we have lot size and footprint size and gross square foot area as a tabular, because I've heard and seen reported different numbers for these things, and so I think they should be part of the documents so we know exactly how big these footprints and these site plans. And I have a couple of questions on lot 4. The dark outlined object is a what? That seems to be
where the hand is hovering. That would
where
be
your hand.
That would be a pool.
A pool. And so
yes.
where it shows on the other lots, those are pools as well.
Yes, as well.
On lot 2, there seems to be a lighter thing with a walkway around it. Is that a pool as well?
Yes.
Okay. That's the questions I have on the site plan.
Okay, Sam. Yes, Bob?
Tori, following up on Sam's comments, one question is, what is the average square footage of these homes? I heard last week it was 2,500. So when I look at the
That is-
plans and do the math, I think they're closer to 4,000 to 5,000 square feet.
Yeah.
We were talking about the footprints last week. The footprints range from, I think the smallest is about 1,900 to the largest is about 2,400. So the footprints, those are the size of the footprints versus the whole houses are 4,000 or so.
They're going to be 4,000 plus.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll start, Darcy.
I appreciate the changes that you've made. I have no comment on the site plan. And I think the homes that you're going to build seem to be okay. They're quite large, but thank you for making the changes that you did.
Doug?
I appreciate the site plan too. I have no questions or anything comments at this time.
All right, Steve?
Well, I know everybody had a few changes that they would like to have seen last week, and I'm not sure, how many of those requests made it to this last set of drawings that we have. But to me, there are just 4 more big houses in Chatham that are probably going to go underutilized, and to me, don't have a tremendous amount of uniqueness. And I guess I would rather have seen houses or housing that could be better utilized for the needs of Chatham than what we're getting here is just 4 more houses that, that don't do anything for Chatham, but maybe, pay a big tax bill. So, whatever you come up with here, it is what it is, but I wish that, there had been other plans made.
Janet?
Yes, thank you. I feel we were misled about the sizes of these houses that you're planning to build. When I inquired 2 weeks ago, you implied that it was like 2,500 square feet. And I do not like the sound of these overbuilt buildings. They're bad for the environment. They don't serve the town. And I'm just not happy about this at all. And plus the fact we still don't know what's going to happen to our theater. Anyway, so that's my comment. Thank you.
Okay, this is Dan Silva. Yeah, my concern at this point is that what I would like to see is a 3D rendition of that new neighborhood or development, just to see how massive it is. I know my program does a neighborhood which shows all the houses together along with the landscaping, and I'd like to see that presented to us so that we get a sort of an aerial view, because we already got a large structure going in next to the post office that is overly large. I just want to remind the members that you do have one of the purviews that you have is the size and mass of the development and the houses themselves. You do have control over that. So if they're too massive, you figure if they're too massive for the area, you can say so. That is part of your job. And as far as the changes that are made, I haven't looked at them yet, outside of one, so I haven't seen them. But anyways, what discourages me is that not too long ago, we made changes in our regulations. We had a whole survey of Main Street in the Historic Business District done at cost to the town. We had a presentation of, building Nantucket, if you remember that, and none of these houses that I see presented have anything to do with any structures in the Historic Business District, old ones anyways. I do know that one or two we did approve. It was a mistake. and I don't want to, make another mistake. I don't want to follow one mistake with another. So whatever we can do to cut these down, we'll find out what the wall heights are. And I did notice that they gave us a max height for one of the houses, and the house itself wasn't that far below the max height. But if we can drop the floors down from 10 foot to 2 foot, that would help a lot. So anyways, I don't know where we're going to get with this, but let's continue on. Does anybody else have a comment, Bob?
Mr. Chairman,
Victoria, is there any on Kendrick Harvest, or I guess it's Jesse's Landing? What are the sizes of those houses? Hello?
Do we still have Victoria?
I'm here. Bob's back.
I wasn't sure if that was a question directed at me or someone else, but.
No, Victoria, I just want to, if I were to go around town, where can I see a similar sized newer house? Is it Kendrick Harvest? Is it
It is
Hydrangea Lane?
And it's Hydrangea Lane and Isaac Hardy Lane.
Isaac
primarily.
Hardy. Yeah, I just like to get, so Hydrangea, they're pretty big houses there.
Yes.
Okay.
Bob, that was the one that I was referencing that I think was a mistake. That kind of gave people a go ahead, oh, look what we can get in here, I think we should have been a lot more stringent on that.
Yeah, they're big. So I have a
Yep,
concern.
it's a done thing.
And
But I
let's
don't want to follow one mistake with another.
Okay, let's just continue, but that's my concern right now, because I thought these were a lot smaller based on Janet's comment and what I heard, 2,500 square feet. I said, that's, 2,500, 3,000, that's pretty good, but now we're up to 4,000 to 5,000, $2 million houses with pools. I get a little concerned.
Dan, if I could address that statement. So Bob, you just made a comment on Janet's statement. Janet, if you go back and look at the meeting from, I think it was 2 weeks ago, was it 2 weeks ago that we met, when Victoria was asked the sizes of the footprints, you asked the size of the footprints, and she said exactly what she said again tonight. And then later in the meeting, Sam asked a question, I think you asked a question later about the overall size of the buildings, and Sam made the comment that these houses are over 4,000 square feet. If the footprints are proposed at 1,900 to 2,400, then they're going to be over 4,000 square feet. So 2 weeks ago, those numbers were out in the discussion, okay?
I beg to differ. I don't think it was very transparent. It was even quoted in the newspaper. The house sizes were different anyway. So I just felt that it was kind of not transparent, and I wish it had been. And I do feel to build these oversized houses is not appropriate for the neighborhood. When you look, you go down Depot Road. This is obviously a new little road off of Depot Road, but it's a modest housing area. And I think, I don't want to be looking up from the ball field and see these oversized empty mansions. Thank you.
Just for the board to see, across from the ball field is Oyster Heights condominiums. Those buildings are all bigger than the footprints of these buildings that we're proposing.
Those are multi.
I do have a question for the applicant. Where along 28 in that area are there other houses like this directly on Main Street?
Isaac Hardy Lane is on Main Street. It's directly across from 385 Main Street, where you guys were just speaking about the former Eldridge gas station. Isaac Hardy Lane is directly across the road. So that subdivision has a lot of large houses, and I believe there's 5 or 6 of them as well.
And that's also a GB2 zone.
It's GB2 as well.
Yeah, I just think these are all Shore Road houses. So anyways, let's see what happens.
Chairman,
Darcy, you have any further comments? Actually, we're looking at a house now. Is there anything anybody want to make a comment about this particular elevation? Lot 2,
I do.
north elevation.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to comment
Yes.
on the buildings.
All right,
This is lot 2.
yes.
We had spoke 2 weeks ago about the transoms. Here, these transoms have been shrunk to the point where the window panes look like they might be oriented horizontally. I think is a very bad thing to do when you have vertical. The main windows of the facade are window panes that are oriented vertically. Now, you could reduce them to squares, and that might be okay. One thing that would be helpful in all of these elevations is to have a dimension tree on one or both ends, one end that shows the finished floor for the first floor, finished ceiling, so we know what the room heights are, and then the second floor, finished floor, and the room heights again. There's a problem when you label the ridge as the maximum height limit, the maximum height limit. I think you're trying to say to us that it'll all be under 30 feet, trust me. And I believe that's what will happen because your estimated grade plane, I don't know how you're going to work it out so that you get, you raise that grade plane so that but still a 30-foot high building is a pretty massive thing, especially on lot 2, where the front of the building is basically all lined up and the ridges aligned. So those are my comments for this, and I don't think I see many changes. I see the back door or side door. You separated the window and the door. I think that was a good move. Again, I'm not sure I like the proportions on the back elevation for the bedroom windows. So that's all I have to say about that house. It's pretty much a repeat. I mean, I think it's, once I see what the square footage is, I think again, the way they're a large house on small lots is going to not be working in your favor.
All right, Darcy?
I really have no comment except that what you said, Dan, about the like a 3D presentation, something like that. I'd like to see that. I think the buildings are too large for the area, for the lot size. Sorry. I don't think there's going to be any parking. If the theater is going to be kept there, there's going to be no parking for it. That's my concern.
Thank you, Darcy. Bob?
No comments.
Okay, Steve?
Well, to go back to my previous comments, I think these houses they're just going to be, they're too big to be grouped that closely together, I think. They're just going to be looming over each other in the ball field. I think they're out of place with the neighborhood.
All right. Doug, are you still with us?
Doug left.
Doug left. All right, Janet, any last comment?
Um,
Or comment about this north elevation?
Yeah, I agree with Darcy. I believe that it would be very helpful to have more information to make better decisions about it. But overall, I stick to the fact that they're way too big, and that's what I have to offer. Thank you.
All right, and just for information for the commission members, on the next agenda, I've asked Sarah to put on a discussion about, the building of Nantucket, or how to style houses to fit in the historic business district. And I don't see how these houses relate at all to the theater. That's what these are taking over, the theater property. I don't see how they relate to that at all. The other is that I've told myself, I won't make that, I'm repeating myself again, make the same mistake that I made before. I'm not going to approve any house with 10-foot first floors or transom windows over the first floor windows. Transom windows belong over the doors, on the side of the doors, and, occasional other places. So I wouldn't be able to, in all good consciousness, approve this building unless the floors were of a reasonable size, height. All right, you want to move on, Sarah? So this is the south elevation of the same. So this has all the same characteristics as the front, right? We lost everybody? Victoria?
Victoria had to leave. She had an appointment, so I can answer any questions.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
So the question, the question that was brought up last time was that the bay that last time looked as if it was a curtain wall. Mark Zebrat clarified here to show that it is not. It's a row of windows on the first floor and a row of windows on the second floor. He's still unsure as to whether he's going to try to put in some panels in there or just some decorative weaving of shingles. But that was not meant to be a complete glass wall, as the board had thought in the initial renderings, initial sketches. I'm not sure if Mark's on the phone. Mark, are you on this call?
I didn't see him.
No.
He was initially.
Okay.
Okay. I think a couple of things, if I look back at last week, we took out the eyebrow
Yep.
on the left side of it. The ovals that were originally above the two roof lines, we had taken those out, but we were thinking of maybe circular windows there.
Yes, that cleans that up considerably. You still have a problem with that tower on the left-hand side. It doesn't fit in the eave. I think that's an easy fix. It literally goes from roof to roof.
Yeah.
It should fit inside the gable soffit there.
Yeah.
Does not.
Okay,
And
we'll make a note.
I thank you for removing that eyebrow. That does clean it up very nicely. Again, my only comment. The two doors on the bottom seem to be asymmetric. I don't know. Is that just me looking at it, or I guess they are.
No, that definitely is the case. That I think some of these things might have been a bit of oversight on Mark's part with just trying to.
Yeah, I wasn't concerned. I wasn't terribly concerned. I just wanted to point that out to you. Yeah. Not a make or break. All right. Bob? Yeah, we'll get to you.
Okay.
I'm fine. No further comments.
Okay, Janet?
It's very hard to decipher which house is which. What is this the front of the house? From the ball field, what will we be seeing? Just like I think it's very hard to really get a feeling for this with just the little information that we've been given.
Okay, this is, I believe this is the side that you'd see that's opposite Depot Street, so it'd be on the other side. The first one you looked at, you'd see from Depot Street. This is the other side of it, Janet.
Okay, thank you.
Backside.
Thank
Right.
you.
All right, Steve, any questions?
No, I have no other questions.
Doug? No. Sam, any further questions? Comments?
I noted that the eyebrow has been removed. Again, I think that the stacking of the windows in that gable is very awkward. So.
Yeah, and I have to remember that, remind everybody that we're trying to just discern whether this is appropriate for the historic district, not whether we like it or not. So, anyways.
Well, maybe.
All right. Yes.
No, I'm just wondering whether these little comments on little elements are germane when we would like to see the whole thing kind of very, very different. And no, you know, I mean, I'll look at drawings forever and comment on all the little parts and pieces that I like or don't like, but in a way, the whole thing might be different if they downsize accordingly.
Yeah, again, I'll remind the commission members that this is what they are allowed, footprint on the lot, but it's your decision as to whether it's appropriate or not. So anyways, size-wise, the math. All righty. Who we got? Anybody left? Anybody else like to make a comment? All right, Sarah, why don't we move on to another lot? Front.
Okay, Dan, in the interest of time, if possible, I can flip through the slides slowly because we do have the east elevations, the west elevations for each of the lots. And the commission members can, you know, rather than going through each of them individually, if they have a comment, they can make it.
They seem to all have the same elements, yeah. Go ahead, Sarah. This is the same building.
Yes, this is the west elevation.
Yeah, this would be looking down from the light intersection looking up, yeah. And the floor plan, we don't have any purview over the inside. Outside of it lets us know why windows are where they are and why bump out to there.
Correct. Second floor plan.
Again, same comment. Yep.
And location. This is the ball field, I believe. No, other side. This would be 784 Main Street over here.
Yep.
Actually, that is.
Is that the ball field, Victoria?
No, that is the neighbor on Depot Road. So
okay.
That is to the, if you're on Depot Street, facing what is currently the 70 Depot Road structure, it is directly to the right of that. It's that side piece of property, and the back half, so where the pool is, would be the 776 Main Street location.
Okay. So on to the next one. This is lot 3.
Again, for the sake of time, it has a lot of the same small features. And the same height. The first floor. This is the one everybody liked, is it not?
There's no lot 4.
Yeah, this is the one that everybody liked at first, Sam. Or the best, I should say, like the best.
Are we making comments or are we just looking?
Well, if you have a comment to make, as we're doing this just for the sake of time, Sam. As I said, basically they all have the same elements, like you said. You know, you can look at them forever, but they essentially are all the same height.
That's a little different because he's put the garage in the basement, and
Yep.
and that introduces a retaining wall, and really is a disruption on the lot when you and if you were to go visit a friend in this house, you have no place to put your car. It will lead you to the front door. So I mean, those things kind of upset me, but and again, they're, you know, you've already dismissed the transom issue, so I won't comment on it, which in lot 3 is over exaggerated. And lot 3 also has 2 eyelid things on a gambrel roof. I'm not sure how relevant that is. Oh, those are my comments.
All right, very good. I just want to remind everybody that I think, my personal opinion and experience, that this may take as long as Chatham Village Market and the CVS took. This is a major development in the middle of town, so we have to get this one right. So I hope that.
Ask Victoria, what's the matter with lot 5?
That one we hadn't finished, but I wasn't sure if we didn't include everything we had so far that we wouldn't be able to present it. I didn't know what the policy was, so I just submitted what we had. So obviously all of the elevations are not, the side elevations are just not complete at the moment. So, and even some of the other ones, obviously. So, and it's missing certain details, but that's just was an element of time. Hence, obviously, there are no windows out of the house at the moment. That would not be the case, obviously, but that's just where we were in the process.
I'm sorry, I thought everybody had received that. Had they not, Sarah?
I did email all of the sets of plans to everyone prior to the hearing.
Great. Any comments, anybody? Anybody look at their emails outside of me?
Well, I was able to print them all out, so I wondered a couple of 4/4 windows have crept into some of these 4/1s, and I wasn't sure why. I think that it's a big window, and this is in lot 3, rear elevation. There's a 4/1. And the whole facade is 6/1. And there was another over the garage, another dormer that was 4/. I don't know where that's going. Maybe it's on building 4.
Sam, looking at that rear elevation, that 4/1 is definitely an incomplete design by the designer. That's all. It should match the other ones. You're absolutely right.
Okay, whatever.
All righty. Anybody get their hand up?
Dan,
Janet?
yeah, you've mentioned several times that the committee can weigh in on the size.
Yes.
And the structural part that perhaps we would be more interested in houses that were more more Cape Codish, perhaps, and obviously much smaller than this. I don't feel I can even weigh in on anything on these because they're just so awesomely large. And I just don't think it goes in this neighborhood. If you look around this neighborhood, you don't see anything like that anyway. And I just don't want to see more big empty houses that add to the global warming. You know, they have to keep the heat on and stuff during the winter with nobody in it. And I don't know. I'm not happy about it at all.
No, the other thing that bothered me a little bit was that there was no comparison, no drawing to scale of the existing house that was on Depot Street and the one that's being proposed there now. I think the existing house is probably the same size, of 2/3 the size of the living room. So, yeah,
I do want to point out, just as a side note, that the Depot Road house was not a true house, as it didn't have a kitchen. It only had a toilet and a few open rooms.
Well, that's because over the years,
They added on
to
to
it. The group that was using it used the main house. So the main house is a very large house on this property. And they used that house as the kitchen for the entire complex. That's what they did. They basically gutted the other residential structures. They stripped the insides and used them basically as dormitories. So that's the difference, but that's fine. We'll deal with it.
Okay, anybody on the commission have any further questions or comments? As I said, this is going to take a while, so I don't think things are going to happen overnight. I think I think we need more information, and I appreciate the fact that these were sketches. So I don't want to be too hard on them. I'm not concerned about 4/1 or anything else, but the mass does concern me. We'll see what we can do there. We need something to scale this. Is it possible to get a 3D rendering of the neighborhood of that proposed? Victoria or anybody?
Yeah, we will look into that. Yeah, we will look into it. We'll get we'll try to do a blow up of the entire area so you can see a comparison to all the structures that are in the immediate area around it in comparison.
Oh, that's a lot of work, but that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, but it will give scale. It will give scale for everybody so they see how it does fit into the area. So if that's what we need to provide, that's no problem. We'll do that.
This takes a lot of work. Yes.
One other thing, I'm just wondering about the green screen that will be separating this development from our ballpark.
So we have to determine if the town has any green screen there right now to determine when we go in to do our work, what is left of the town buffer that they have on that side. But when we submit our formal packages, we have to submit a landscaping plan. That landscaping plan will show what we propose for green screen buffer between all the parcels and adjacent parcels, including the town field. Okay.
Thank you.
Alrighty, I think it's more important. I'd like to open up a shade store next to that development. So once those lights come on, I think we need for some shades in there.
Yeah.
All right, anybody?
I do.
Anybody on the commission? Darcy? Gone. Sam? Any further questions? No? All right. Bob? Any further questions, comments?
No further questions.
Okay, Doug? Doug's gone. Steve's gone?
No, I'm here. I don't
there
have
you
any
are,
other
Steve.
questions. Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Any further questions, comments?
No, thank you.
Okay, and I'm done as well. So I hope you got something. Don't be discouraged. This is the way that GVS and Cumberland Farms and Denver Village Market went too. So anyways. All right, folks. Sam, what do we have now? I'm sorry, Victoria. Do you have enough to work with?
Oh, no, that's it. I was just going to say thank you. So that's all.
Okay, very good, Victoria. Thank you. All right. Other business, other business, public comment. Sam, as I said, I'll have on the agenda just a discussion about, where we stand today, what our goals are. I just don't want us to lose our way, the commission. So that'll be on the agenda. That's it, folks. All right.
Yep.
All right. Do I have a motion?
This is Bob Burns. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Very good. Do we have a second?
Janet Whittemore makes a motion to
Oh,
adjourn.
we got a motion. We need a second, Janet. You want to second it?
Oh, okay. Here's the second.
Okay, very good. All right. All in favor, Steve?
I will vote to adjourn.
All right, Bob?
Bob's in favor of adjourning.
Sam?
Sam Schreiber approves.
Dan Silver approves as well. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you for hanging in there. Please don't get discouraged. This is going to
Good
take
night,
a while.
everyone. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
We're officially.